Meet Shirley. She's 74, full of life, and loves her morning coffee on the porch. But lately, her home has been feeling more like a museum of stuff than a place to relax. Closets packed to the brim, drawers that barely close, and a lifetime of "I might need this someday" piling up. Sound familiar? Shirley decided enough was enough. It was time to simplify, and guess what? It didn't mean getting rid of everything. It meant making room for what truly mattered. If you're ready to ditch the clutter and reclaim your space, stick with me. We've got 12 minimalist secrets to make life lighter and easier. One has stuff equal to less stress. Less stress. Shirley used to wake up feeling exhausted, not from lack of sleep, but from the sheer weight of all the stuff surrounding her. Her home, once a place of comfort, had slowly turned into a giant storage unit. The garage was packed with boxes she hadn't touched in years. The guest room? Forget about guests. It was overflowing with old clothes, holiday decorations, and enough craft supplies to open a small store. Even simple things, like opening a drawer in the kitchen, came with the risk of something tumbling out. One morning, standing in the middle of all the clutter, she had a realization. Every unnecessary item in her home was stealing a little bit of her peace. It wasn't just about the mess, it was about the constant mental noise it created. Every pile of papers, every overflowing shelf, every overstuffed drawer was another decision waiting to be made. Another reminder that things were out of control. So, she did something radical. She started letting go. Not everything at once, just one drawer at a time. The first day, she tackled the coffee mugs. She had over 40. How many cups of coffee could one woman possibly drink? She kept her favorites and donated the rest. Then, she moved on to the kitchen gadgets. Did she really need 3 blenders? No, one was plenty. And with each item she let go of, she felt lighter. Less stuff meant fewer decisions, less cleaning, less stress, and more time to enjoy life. 2. The 90-90th rule. For years, Shirley kept things just in case. A closet full of clothes she hadn't worn in over a decade. Shoes that looked great but hurt her feet. A whole drawer of scarves, even though she hadn't worn a scarf since 1998. Every time she tried to declutter, that little voice in her head would whisper, "But what if you need this one day?" Then she discovered the 90-90th rule. It was so simple, yet so effective. If she hadn't used something in the last 90 days, and she couldn't see herself using it in the next 90, she let it go. At first she was skeptical. What if she got rid of something and immediately regretted it? But when she applied the rule, she realized something. Those just-in-case moments never came. That old blazer she kept in case of a formal event. She had plenty of other outfits that worked just as well. The jeans she had been holding on to for 15 years, hoping they'd fit again. If she ever reached that goal, she deserved new jeans, not ones from another era. And the best part, her mornings became easier. Instead of digging through a closet stuffed with clothes she never wore, she could actually see her favorite outfits. Getting dressed went from a frustrating chore to a breeze. She never felt like she had nothing to wear, because everything in her closet was something she actually wore. The 90-90th rule wasn't just about clearing space, it was about making her life simpler. 3. The one in, one out rule. Decluttering felt amazing, but Shirley had one big fear. How could she make sure things didn't pile up again? After all, it had taken years for all that clutter to creep in. What if it all slowly came back? That's when she made a new rule. For every new thing that comes in, one old thing has to go. At first, she tested it with clothes. She bought a new pair of shoes. That meant an old pair had to be donated. Then she applied it to her kitchen. A new fancy coffee maker? Well, it was time to say goodbye to the extra toaster collecting dust in the cabinet. It became a habit, and before she knew it, her home stayed clutter-free, without any extra effort. She never had to do another overwhelming purge, because things never got out of control in the first place. It was like having a built-in clutter defense system. Plus, it made her more mindful about what she brought into her home in the first place. If buying something new meant giving something else up, she started thinking twice before making impulse purchases. Did she really need that decorative pillow? If she had to give up one of her existing ones, maybe not. The one-in, one-out rule wasn't just about keeping clutter at bay, it made her more intentional about the things she owned. 4. The 10-minute declutter trick. For years, Shirley had told herself she'd set aside a weekend for a big decluttering day. She'd get everything organized, all at once, and finally have the tidy home she dreamed of. The problem, that magical weekend never came. She was always too busy, too tired, or just not in the mood to spend an entire day digging through years of clutter, and the longer she put it off, the worse it got. Every time she looked at the mess, it felt overwhelming. Then she tried something different. Instead of waiting for a big decluttering day, she started setting a timer for just 10 minutes every day. That was it. 10 minutes, she'd pick one tiny area, a single drawer, a shelf, a corner of the closet, and see how much she could tackle in that time. The results were shocking. In just a few weeks, her entire kitchen was organized, without stress, without exhaustion, without ever blocking off an entire day. The best part, once she started, she usually wanted to keep going. What started as a 10-minute session often turned into 20 or even 30, but there was no pressure. If she stopped after 10 minutes, she had still made progress. Decluttering doesn't have to be a huge event. It's not about waiting for the perfect time. It's about taking small, easy steps, one at a time. Because when you do, the clutter doesn't stand a chance. 5. The truth about someday items. Shirley always told herself she was going to use that sewing machine, the one she bought years ago when she got inspired to make her own curtains. Except those curtains never happened. The sewing machine sat in the closet, untouched, collecting dust. Right next to it, a box full of craft supplies from that one time she made Christmas decorations, 15 years ago. And let's not forget the fancy serving dishes, waiting for that elegant dinner party she had planned, but never actually hosted. Then one day, she looked around and had a realization. Someday had come and gone. She had spent years holding on to things for a future that never arrived. And instead of serving a purpose, all these items were just taking up space, reminders of what could have been, rather than what actually was. That's when she made a new rule. If something had been sitting unused for years, it was time to let it go. She donated the sewing machine to a local charity, where someone would actually use it. The craft supplies went to a community center. The serving dishes? She gifted them to a friend who loved hosting dinner parties. And just like that, she felt lighter, because real freedom doesn't come from clinging to what-ifs, it comes from living fully now. 6. Ditch the duplicates. It started with a pair of scissors. Well, actually, 5 pairs of scissors, all in different drawers. And then there were the can openers, 3 of them, because every time she couldn't find one, she'd just buy another. And let's not even talk about the plastic food containers. Lids with no matching bottoms, bottoms with no matching lids. It was like a chaotic Tupperware jungle, every time she opened the cabinet. One day, after spending 10 minutes searching for a potato peeler, Shirley had enough. She started going through her kitchen, her bathroom, even her desk, and what she found was shocking. Duplicates. Everywhere. 3 vegetable peelers, 4 bottle openers, 2 almost identical handbags. How did this even happen? The truth was, she only needed one of each thing. The best one, the one she actually used. So she started paring down. She kept the sharpest scissors, the sturdiest can opener, the one potato peeler she reached for every time. Everything else? Donated, recycled, or given away. Her drawers closed easier. Her kitchen felt bigger, and best of all, she never had to dig through a sea of unnecessary stuff again. Because the truth is, you don't need 5 of the same thing, you just need the right one. 7. Memory boxes. Not memory clutter. The hardest part of decluttering wasn't the clothes or the kitchen gadgets. It was the sentimental stuff. The old greeting cards. The trinkets her kids had given her over the years. The little souvenirs from vacations long past. They weren't things she used, but they held memories, and that made it almost impossible to let go. At one point she had entire drawers stuffed with birthday cards, piles of travel brochures from places she had already been, knickknacks that had long lost their meaning but still sat there, collecting dust. And that's when she had an idea. What if I could keep the memories, without keeping all the clutter? So she created a memory box, one small, beautifully organized space, where she could keep only the most meaningful things, her favorite letters, a few precious photos, a small keepsake from each child. Instead of stuffing memories into drawers where they were forgotten, she gave them a home where they could actually be enjoyed. The rest, she took pictures of certain things before letting them go, so she could still hold on to the memories, without holding on to the mess. And you know what? It was freeing. Because now, instead of being weighed down by everything, she had a collection of only the things that truly mattered. 8. The power of a capsule wardrobe. Shirley's closet was packed, and yet every morning, she found herself staring at it, thinking, I have nothing to wear. Sound familiar? The problem wasn't that she didn't have enough clothes, it was that she had too many clothes that weren't quite right. Pants that were too tight, sweaters that were itchy, shoes that pinched her toes. Every time she put something on, she ended up taking it off 5 minutes later. Then she discovered the concept of a capsule wardrobe, keeping only the clothes that truly fit, flatter, and feel good. She went through her closet with one simple rule. If I don't feel great in it, it goes. Out went the pants that never quite fit right. Out went the dresses she was saving for a special occasion but never wore. Out went the jackets that looked nice but never felt comfortable. And what was left? Only the good stuff. Clothes that made her feel confident and comfortable. Suddenly, getting dressed was effortless. No more decision fatigue, no more sifting through outfits she might wear someday. Just a closet full of things she actually loved. And the best part, she realized she didn't need 20 pairs of pants or a dozen jackets, just the right ones. 9. Say goodbye to paper clutter. Shirley's kitchen counter used to be a magnet for paper clutter. Stacks of mail, old bills, receipts from who knows when, coupons she meant to use but always forgot about. Every time she tried to tidy up, another pile would appear, like paper clutter had a life of its own. One day, she decided enough was enough. She made a simple rule: handle paper as soon as it comes in. Junk mail, straight into the recycling. Important documents, filed immediately. Magazines she swore she'd read, if they sat there for a month untouched, they were gone. And the difference? Life-changing. Suddenly, she wasn't losing important papers in a sea of clutter. Her counters were clear, her mind was clearer, and she no longer felt like she was drowning in an endless pile of paperwork. Because the truth is, paper clutter doesn't magically go away. It builds up, little by little, until it feels overwhelming. The key is to deal with it immediately, so it never has a chance to take over. 10. Digital decluttering matters too. It's not just physical clutter. Digital clutter can be just as overwhelming. Shirley's inbox used to be a disaster. Thousands of unread emails, endless spam, and folders full of forgotten documents. So she spent 15 minutes a day unsubscribing, deleting, and organizing. And now, no more email overwhelm, just a clean, easy-to-use inbox. 11. Let go of the just-in-case mentality. Shirley's biggest realization: most of the things she was keeping just in case weren't actually helping her, they were weighing her down. She let go of the backup coffee maker, the extra sets of towels, the random knickknacks she thought she might need. And guess what? She hasn't missed a single thing, because the truth is, life is easier when you only keep what truly serves you. 12. Minimalism isn't about less. It's about more. For a long time, Shirley thought minimalism was about giving things up. She imagined a bare house with plain white walls, no decorations, no personality, just the essentials and nothing else. And honestly, that sounded awful. Who wants to live in a house that looks like a hotel lobby? But once she started decluttering, she realized minimalism wasn't about having less. It was about having more space to breathe, more time to do the things she loved, more freedom from the constant cycle of cleaning, organizing, and managing stuff. Before, weekends were spent sorting through piles of belongings, trying to keep things in order. Now, she spends those weekends going on long walks, visiting family, and actually enjoying her home, instead of constantly trying to control the clutter inside it. Minimalism isn't about deprivation, it's about removing the unnecessary so you can focus on what truly matters. And no, that doesn't mean tossing everything you love and living out of a suitcase. It just means being intentional about what stays in your life. Because at the end of the day, the less time you spend dealing with stuff, the more time you get to actually live. Shirley's journey from cluttered to carefree wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. And now, her home is a place where she can breathe, relax, and enjoy life, instead of managing piles of stuff. Which of these minimalist secrets do you need to try? Let me know in the comments. And if this helped, hit like, subscribe, and let's simplify life together.